great suggestions you had, considering how thoroughly, I think, very insightful. Obviously, listen well as an evaluator. Our next role is the Grammarian role with Mary Alice, and she will deliver that from her seat. Thank you, Mary Alice.
As far as counting filler words, Mickey used, she used and a couple of times when it wasn't necessary. She did use the word evocative or evoke, and so did Al, and I didn't notice anybody else doing. Oh, Bob, thank you. Bob also did. Bob used a few times. Chris also did. For the most part, and all these uses of were not distracting or anything. Mike mentioned that he used so in a correct way, and he said it probably was wrong, but it wasn't. And speaking of so, after a conversation, after a meeting one day between Mickey and me, I thought about so as the initial word in a presentation, and I have come to think that it does have some semantic meaning, which is probably subconscious on the part of the person, but it is so often used in speaking, not ever in writing, that I'm beginning to think it's probably okay. It's kind of the way hopefully was used way to excess for years, and people have stopped. But actually, hopefully was grammatically correct. So it's fine. One thing that was not grammatically correct was Julie said, here I am myself saying and I probably did before and wasn't even aware of it. Julie said babysitted, and it should be babysat. That is all I noticed. Stop now.
Rest the comments after me. Now, with the timer report, Johnny, would you please tell us how we did as far as going over and under of the time?
Sure, yes. So, since my first time, I'll try my best. So overall, everyone have done a very good job. So, but I will just talk about a few people that exceed the time limit. So, Rob exceed 9 seconds.
What was my total time?
The total time is 2 minutes. Your time is 2 minutes 9 seconds.
Okay.
And Mickey exceed time 3 seconds. And Mike exactly 6 minutes. Al Davis 3 seconds. So the last one is Ryan 12 seconds. And Mary Alice 40 seconds. Yeah, but overall, I want to have a good job.
That was a very good report. I was trying to be aware of our time, so it was a very good report. Now, all more aware. Our final role of the meeting is the general evaluation with Jane, and she said this about the theme. My sister gave me a plaque that says, I opened my mouth and my mother came out. I thought that was funny. You really did hear what she has said, even when you were not trying to. And I replied a few things to the people. I said, would you ever believe someone who says, I learned that by myself? There's always someone else, often your mother. So, tell your mother you only learned it by yourself. We welcome Jane. And two.
1 and 2, yeah. So here we go. Job of the general evaluator is to evaluate the meeting. Most specifically, to look at the evaluators and how they do, which are the speech evaluators, grammarian, and timer is the most important focus. You look for things, were they timely, enthusiastic, prepared, all the happy stuff, and mainly to ensure that we are providing, as a group, the right environment of support that each of us needs in order to be comfortable and able to focus on being prepared and able to give a speech and learn from it and improve our skills. Overall meeting, thought was great. We usually have pretty good ones. Brendan, you're excellent.
Thank you.
I really have to say. Very prepared. I got an agenda early. Transition from Sergeant-at-Arms to the Toastmaster. Good on your times. Your transitions and intros, I think you do better. All of us could learn. You have a brief intro for everybody and then transition right along. There's no extended pauses. It's a great job. For the evaluators, timer, Johnny, for his very first time, did a great job. He used the app. I know I used it last week. It's very good because it actually shows you when to put up the green card. The phone turns green and then yellow and red. Don't have to think about it. And it tracks it by person and time. So there's less writing down. And I liked only the people that exceeded everybody else who did a good job. The grammarian explained well with the word of the day. I think as a group we are hesitant to count all of the words that we say as. It's important that we know how many times we become more aware of it. It's not a bad thing to say somebody said 15 times. It's like, wow, I did? You may not even be aware of it. It's a good thing to be informed. And so, I agree that so is a word that can be used in a sentence, and not every time we say it, it's wrong. That's a tough one. We do tend to use it in speech more often. That's a very good observation. We all could think about it a little bit more. On the evaluators, Bob, you asked about the time. I think we tend to forget that always. Very focused on the positive, which is the way evaluation should be. It's all positive. It's all positive reinforcement that we're doing a good job. You took note of what he did well. You mentioned what he asked you to track, which is also very important. Even the things that, I don't call them criticisms, but thoughtful ways to improve a speech the next time, which is the best way to do it. You never feel like you did anything wrong. And Chris, I don't think you asked about the time. We're all at fault at that, no problem. I would say the very first thing you mentioned was a negative, which is probably not the best way to start. You mentioned about there was too much info in his speech. Then you got back to it at the end, which was probably a better approach. You again noticed all the positives, and I thought even with that one at the end, your observation about more storytelling, a thoughtful add to a speech that we all could do well. Overall, we did a good job. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane.